No matter your beliefs, whatever your dreams, we all have one thing in common. We call these islands home. Beautiful Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. However, they are threatened by our actions. But we can collectively begin a new path in which our economic prosperity and well-being does not irreparably damage our islands. Let's use our natural resources in conscious and sustainable ways so that future generations too can enjoy our home. Let's care for our environment and keep it litter-free and beautiful. Let's all pledge to take action against climate change by changing our behavior and changing our lifestyles to protect our environment. Join us today and let's keep Grenada green and clean.
Hello everyone, it's your boy Troy Gill and we are out here at Geomax Gym Grenville. And if ever you are in the Grenville area and you're looking for a gym, you can come to Geomax. Opens from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday and from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays, guys. Alright, so I'm going to be taking you through 3 simple yet effective workouts. Alright guys, and we're going to rotate it 3 sets of each. We're going to take a 20-second break in and between. Alright guys, so follow me as we go along. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 6, 12, 13, 18, 19, 20. Woo! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! All right, guys, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Good job, guys. If you're following, remember to take your sips of water in and between sets, guys. Water is essential and water is important. Make sure that you stay hydrated. All right, so guys, second set. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 13, 18, 19, 20. Woo! Good job, guys, if you're following. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! All right, let's go. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Good job, guys, for following. Always take your sips of water in and between sets, guys. Woo! All right. So final exercise, final 3 sets. All right, we're almost done. Let's get it going. 1, 2, 10, 11, Woo! Good job, guys. If you're following, final exercise in the final set. Let's go. 1, 2. 10. 1, 2. 9, 10. Woo! Good job, guys. If you're following, and like I said to you before, these are 3 simple yet effective exercises to get your heart pumping, get your blood flowing, get you ready to start your day. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. See you again next time. All right, guys, so that was this morning's fitness. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Hope you benefited from it. And of course, we have lots of more information coming your way, lots of great content. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to Rise and Shine. We'll be right back.
Now, there are 5 types of hepatitis. We have hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E, each of which are spread through varying means. So, for instance, hepatitis A and E are spread through unsafe food hygiene. So, for instance, we have always been told wash your hands before dealing or eating with food, and food that has come into contact with feces of an infected person can therefore infect you with hepatitis A and E. For the most part, hepatitis A and E the body tends to get rid of it by itself. But for some persons who may develop a bit of severe illness, they may have to present to a medical clinic or hospital for attention in rare cases. Hepatitis B, D, and C, or B, C, and D, are the ones that tend to be of more concern because of the fact that they can eventually lead to liver cancer, and if not liver cancer, but long-term damage to a person's liver. That's usually a lifelong disease, right? Lifelong issues and challenges. And as we know, people would say, I love you from the bottom of my heart, but technically without your liver, you can't live. Your liver processes all of the toxins, all of the food, all of the vitamins, minerals, everything that your body takes in, good or bad, your liver processes it and gets it out of the body or into the bloodstream. So, for instance, hepatitis B and C, they are spread primarily through blood or blood products. Hepatitis B in particular tends to come with a co-infection. So persons who are infected with hepatitis B tend to have a predisposition for contracting hepatitis D. Right? Hepatitis B has a vaccine that Grenada provide given to persons at birth, and once given, it protects you. It gives you a protection for the first 6 months of their lives. It also protects you against hepatitis D, right? And once you have it, then you're fine. Now, some common symptoms are fever, joint pain, muscle pain, jaundice of the eyes and skin. We have itching, we have abdominal pain, and a series of others. One in particular is discolored urine, dark colored urine. If you or anybody are experiencing that, and that is accompanied or coupled with some of the other symptoms I've listed, such as the joint pain and the abdominal pain. Not that you should wait till it's there, but if that's when you notice it, then you should see a healthcare practitioner as soon as possible.
details, I'm Tony Julian. Speculation is rife that Grenada's general election just may be called sometime before the end of the year. However, the secretary of the New National Party, or NNP, Roland Bowler, is reminding the public that although elections are constitutionally due in 2023, when they will be called remains the call of the political leader. Donella Hostin begins this evening's news coverage with that story.
Rumors are circulating that Grenada's general election, which is constitutionally due in 2023, may be called much sooner than that. Although election announcements are usually a surprise, many Grenadians believe that they will go to the polls long before year's end. But according to Roland Bowler, the only person who can confirm the said date is the political leader of the ruling New National Party, Dr. Keith Mitchell.
No, it is anybody's guess. My speculation, your speculation, anyone can speculate. So I won't be able to confirm for you when it will be, because as it is now in Grenada, only the political leader of the ruling party, who is normally the Prime Minister, will decide the date.
Bowler used the opportunity to speak about the referendum, which was calling for the people to vote for a fixed election date, but it was voted against. He says had the public voted for this, there would be no need to be guessing now.
This should not be a guessing game for us now, because if you recall, there was a referendum in which the Grenadian public was asked to vote for a fixed date for election. And what that would have meant if we voted yes for that is after an election has been held, you will have to name the date when the next one will be held. So you know how anyone would have been guessing now, yes?
As it stands now, the political climate in Grenada appears to be heating up, with the two main contending political parties putting things in place and gathering their candidates and caretakers. But it remains uncertain as it relates to when Prime Minister Mitchell will say Grenadians will go to the polls. Reporting for MTV News, I am Donella Hostin.
Former Senator Kirin James has been named as caretaker for the constituency of St. John for the National Democratic Congress NDC. James will contend the New National Party's Alvin Dabrio, who in the last two elections secured his seat, winning by a landslide on both elections. Here once again is Donella Hostin with the details.
Kirin James will now be the caretaker for the constituency of St. John for the National Democratic Congress for the next general elections. James entered into the political arena in 2016 at the age of 18, shortly after she took part in the National Carnival Queen Show, where she secured first runner-up. The young James was at the age of 21 recognized as the youngest sitting senator in the Commonwealth when she served from 2018 to 2020. She resigned after the current leader of the opposition, Tobias Clement, crossed the floor. With James named caretaker, this means she will be contesting against current parliamentary representative Alvin Dabrio, who in the last election won his seat by a landslide against Dr. George Vincent. Dr. Vincent, based on the numbers at the polling stations, did not appear to be a popular choice of the people. James is looking to win the hearts of the people of St. John, as she hails from the small village of Mount Granby. Reporting for MTV News, I am Donella Hostin.
One man will make his first court appearance on Tuesday following the brutal killing of a Guyanese national on Saturday in his home at around 5 a.m. According to reports, the deceased, who is in his 70s or was in his 70s, died when he received multiple stab wounds and was dismembered by a man he was close friends with. We have more from Nikita Hostin.
Kelly Daniel, a 27-year-old from Landscraper of Pearl, St. Andrew, has been arrested and charged in connection with the weekend homicide at Pearls. Daniel has been charged with non-capital murder and will appear at the Grenville Magistrate Court on Tuesday, 15th February. According to the RGPF, this is the first homicide in Grenada for 2022. Residents in the community say John Mutron, who moved to Grenada a couple of years ago, and Daniel have been good friends for many years. It is alleged that Daniel attacked Mutron in his house early Sunday morning, chopping him and dismembering his body before putting his body parts in buckets and placing them in a nearby river. The accused is said to be mentally ill, and in recent times there have been reports of incidents where mentally ill people have been violent. On Wednesday, 19th January 2022, police shot and killed a mentally ill man in St. Patrick.
Here is where the threat comes in very often. The threat to harm people come in when they're hearing things, they're hearing voices, and a lot of the times the voices find itself in the hallucinations that they're having or the delusions. So what happens is that they may hear a voice giving them very specific instructions, sometimes instructions to hurt another person. And so that's how they become violent. But generally, schizophrenic and or mentally ill clients or people, they are not generally violent. However, we have history of a few who have become violent.
That was Dr. Augustine Panchu, clinical psychologist speaking on mental health. When asked if individuals should stay away from people who suffer from mental health, Panchu says absolutely not. However, individuals should look out for threats.
Well, yes, there is ample evidence that the person who committed the offense over the weekend is a mentally ill person. I understand that he suffers from a mental health deficit that we refer to as schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a severe incapacitating mental health deficit, and it is marked by several symptoms. Delusions, hallucinations, disorganized thinking, and abnormal behavior.
Panchu spoke about some of the signs to look for in a mentally ill person.
He was seen walking the street with a weapon, and that's one of the signs. You see, there are many people who are diagnosed with severe mental health challenges, whether it is schizophrenia, bipolar, or even clinical depression, but they are functioning in society. And that is when their mental health is checked, when it is maybe they're receiving treatment.
Nikita Hostin, MTV News.
The Royal Grenada Police Force has launched an investigation after the body of a farmer was discovered in the bush in La Digue, St. Andrew on Sunday evening. Rachel Bain visited the community in St. Andrew and has a report.
The body of the man, who is a known farmer, was discovered in the bushes a few feet away from where he normally farms. According to a family member, David Noel, Samuel could have been lying there for about 2 days. The Royal Grenada Police Force, in a release, confirmed the discovery was made on Sunday in La Digue, St. Andrew. Speaking with MTV News, Noel, who was emotional on our arrival, said he was informed of the discovery by another resident, not knowing that it was a member of his family. He said when the doctor arrived on the scene, it was only then he realized.
Yesterday afternoon, well, it was almost night. A guy came by the shop and told me he went out to wash his hand and he saw a man lie down there. He seemed like he died. So I ended up calling a police friend of mine and we came down, 3 of us came down. He said the first guy with 2 of us, and then we realized he was dead. But we couldn't make him out because he was lying on his face. So it's after the doctor come and they turn him, then I recognize it's my cousin.
Noel said he's unaware of exactly what transpired with Samuel in the bushes, but what he knows for sure is that he was a hard-working man.
I wouldn't be able to say anything around that nature because I don't know. And one thing for sure, a hard-working farmer and friendly, hard-working and friendly. Never really knew him in any trouble, anything with anybody.
The family member says Noel was not reported as missing because they normally see each other every 3 to 4 days.
Well, no, nobody didn't. I wouldn't really say he was missing because he comes and charge his phone by me in the shop, and he might come maybe every 3 days, sometime every 4 days. If the moon is good, because he loves to plant by the moon. Sometimes he don't come up, and the next 2 days he might tell me, well, look, he was planting in the night. Okay, he'll use a headlamp, the flash, and plant. So I wouldn't really know. He comes down in the shop to and buy fried fish on a Friday, but my lady tell me he did not come this Friday. So but I saw him up to maybe about Wednesday. Wednesday was the last time I saw him.
For MTV News, Rachel Bain.
Residents in Lamode, St. George are calling for assistance in repairing the road in the area. They say since the construction of the estate road that the main road, which they normally use, began deteriorating. They say the drainage is also a challenge. Rachel Bain visited that area and filed a report.
Residents in Lamode Estate want government to assist them as they are challenged when traversing the area, especially when it rains. According to them, almost a year ago, the road was in good condition. However, under the feeder road project, the Ministry of Agriculture sought to develop the estate road higher up. The residents who did not want to appear on camera spoke to MTV about their plight.
And we need proper drainage and proper road in the village, please and thanks.
Why our road mash up? They was doing a project of the road there. They fixed the estate road. And they mash up all the road. So we have no road. The buses don't want to come up here just now. So we're asking them, please and kindly.
When you hear RIEING was like Kick and Jimmy, you know. I'm telling you, it's not nice. They have to give us, give us a little assistance, fix with a little gap.
They break it up, fix it.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Works, they say, realized the situation they are faced with and so sought to put gravel on the affected areas. This, however, according to the residents, is even worse.
Look at Cook Choco down there, they put gravels when it decline and skidding, gravels could blind people's eyes. So we're calling on the people to give us our road. This is the culvert up there.
And when it block, all the water coming down below my little house, you understand? And this is not fair. Because why them living in London? I they in water.
Drainage, they say, is also a challenge.
Well, we need proper drainage just as well too. Look, you see water? No proper drainage. Look, now as I dig up there, they dig up there, look at mud. Them boss man doesn't even want to come up here. So we need proper road and drainage in Lamode St. George's.
For MTV News, Rachel Bain.
It's been a challenging and busy day indeed for members of the traffic department of the Royal Grenada Police Force, as over 300 vehicles lined up for inspection on Dusty Highway. According to Sergeant Ryan Smith, Dusty Highway was made a one-way road due to the amount of vehicles that came out for inspection.
The inspections, which began on the 3rd of January, will end tomorrow, 15th February. Ryan Smith, Sergeant of Police attached to the License and Inspection Center, says people are waiting until last minute to inspect their vehicles, which put a strain on the RGPF. He says additional officers came out to facilitate other vehicles between the period of 8 a.m. to 4 a.m.
When there is a window of 6 weeks, meaning a month and 2 weeks to get the inspection done, but persons are still waiting on the last 2 days and so on to get the inspection done. So we are appealing to the general public to ensure that that doesn't happen from the second period of inspection, which starts from the 16th of February. Also, persons who make the payment online at PAY gov.gd, you can make your payments and collect your license decals or license this at the license center. So you do not have to go to St. George's again to the treasury to make a payment in cash. But you can do so online at pay.gov.gd.
Sergeant Smith says Dusty Highway had to be made to facilitate one-way traffic because of the large number of vehicles that came out to be inspected.
Well, the one-way traffic is for today and tomorrow as well. So tomorrow is the last day for vehicles that carry the period registration letters, from 1 to 250, and vehicles that carry the single registration letters from 1 to 2,500. All right. So the deadline for inspection is the 15th of February.
According to Sergeant Smith, individuals who are unable to get their vehicles inspected before the deadline can pay to do so after February 15th.
Now, persons who didn't make it to get their vehicle inspected, there is a late fee of $50 that they will have to incur when they had a period of 6 weeks to get their motor vehicle inspected. Added to that, once your vehicle inspected early, if you have to make any adjustment, for instance, you fail for a particular thing, then you have enough time to get it rectified and come back to the inspection center, which wouldn't make you incur a late fee.
Nikita Hostin, MTV News.
Officials from the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council commenced the evaluation of daycare centers throughout the Tri-Island state. That would be to assess children's nutritional status to determine if they're growing well for their respective ages. This is all part of the annual nutritional surveillance program, but let's get more on it from Troy Gill.
The Grenada Food and Nutrition Council commenced its annual daycare survey on Monday and will be visiting over 40 daycare centers throughout Grenada and Carriacou, beginning in St. Andrew, where they will be conducting weight and height measurements to determine the nutritional status and well-being of children from 6 months to 3 years old. Executive Secretary at the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council, Lydia Brown, gave an overview of the program and the process by which they will determine the weight and height of the children.
So once a year, the Food and Nutrition Council carries out an assessment of children in daycare centers. It really gives us a gauge as to how our children are functioning from 6 months to 3 years. And by doing that, we're able to actually measure that against children as they grow older. So we're able to see a trend in terms of growth, in terms of underweight, normal weight, or children that may be overweight. We basically measure their weight, their heights, or their lengths for the children who are under 2. We measure them on a length board so that we're able to get an accurate picture of their growth.
Several officers are already out in the field with the aim of capturing the children at an appropriate time, and the cooperation from these centers has been great thus far, Brown says.
The program is commencing today, and we're starting in St. Andrew, and it should go through about March 14th. Noting that a lot of the daycare centers have a lot less children now, and so we're hoping that we're able, usually it's about 2 months, but we're hoping that we're able to get through a little faster in that regard. We're doing about 3 daycares a day because we want to capture the children before they've had lunch.
She also highlighted the importance of the activity, especially as it relates to children who may be suffering from certain health conditions.
It is very important because, during that first 2 years of life, it's really a formative stage, and this is where the children are developing. They're still developing, right? So once they come out from the womb, they're developing, they're growing, and it's very important for us to make sure that their nutrition is important.
According to a release from the council, upon completion of the 1-month program, official reports will be sent to the participating daycare centers, including the Ministry of Social Development, Health, and the Central Statistical Office, and children who are identified as having abnormal nutritional status will receive assistance from the council. For MTV News, I am Troy Gill.
Senator Christopher Diali has applauded the government's Empower program, which gives young men an opportunity to change their lives positively and also learn skills that will enhance their livelihoods. According to him, there is a serious problem with the attitude of young males when it comes to working.
Okay. And there seems to be a serious issue with attitude to work, and I keep harping on this. This has been a sing-song of mine for years. But there are a lot of guys who, and guys in particular, will sit on the block, eat, have food every day, they cook every day, and that's not a problem. are just not interested in working.
It's
And
true.
even though we say I laud the program of the Empower program, I think is excellent, but how much of these 400 young men are going to partake or be part of this thing?
Senator Dialli says that there's a constant complaint about productivity on the island, but that there are many other factors that ought to be considered.
We complain about productivity in our islands, but it's really about environment, one, within which they go to work. And if you go in an environment where the work is planned, as you see, they come back and say you're slave driving. Because they want you to reach on time, they want you to work according to, don't waste time eating and talking. And so it's a real attitudinal issue that we have to work.
During the Monday morning show Perspectives, panelist Byron Campbell also commended the authorities on this program, saying that there are opportunities to be grabbed by young people. Farmers in the Western District received tools and other implements, including cutlasses and fertilizer, from the Ministry of Agriculture. It was as a gesture of appreciation in recognizing their contributions to the agricultural sector.
Minister for Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, Honorable Peter David, along with a technical team from the Ministry of Agriculture, continued the ongoing farmers' consultations in the Western District on Wednesday. Minister David recognized the tenure of farmers daily and said he appreciates and values the contribution of the farmers towards the development of the agricultural sector.
Getting up every morning, I'm sure many of you get up 4, 3, 5 in the morning, come out and work the land in the hot sun to make a living, to take care of yourselves and your family. So, it really reaches me how committed you are. For me, I've only been agriculture minister for around a year, and my eyes, have really been open to what needs to be done and what is not being done.
The minister, along with the team comprising of Chief Agricultural Officer Trevor Thompson, District Supervisor James Mahon, and other officers from the Western District, toured farms in the Mount Dore area, engaging with farmers relating to their contributions, concerns, challenges, and issues with productivity. The minister reassured the farmers of several projects and plans of the ministry this year to assist and alleviate some of the issues they currently face.
The Chief Agricultural Officer and myself, we've been speaking about that. We've acquired some equipment. We have persons who are going to help us to do it. So yes, we'll see what we can do for you. We've taken a note of it.
The delegation also handed over implements to the farmers as a symbol of the appreciation of their contributions to food and nutrition security.
On behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, I want to make a presentation of some fertilizer, some cutlasses, some other implements here that we use for farming, some seeds. Just a small gesture of our appreciation. We hope that you'll use these to help increase your own production. Of course, we'll be giving more help. But this is just to say to you, we know you're here, we know what you're doing, we see what you're doing. You are extremely important to the country. And this is by no means a signal that there's not more to come.
The farmers were very appreciative of the gesture and continue to look forward to assistance from the Ministry of Agriculture. For MTV News, I am Troy Gill.
darkness, he's clothed in black, bringing trouble his way. He's trying to find me with thoughts as sharp as razors. He's called depression, I want him to go away. Please let me be free. No negative thoughts, no evil thinking may come my way.
What a way to start off this morning's program. It is Tuesday the 15th day of February. Tamara, what a song. What a song. Always a very powerful one, but with a very, very positive message. What a way to start off today's program. I want to say welcome and thank you so much for joining me for today's Rise and Shine program. On this day, it's another Tuesday. It's the start of another week. Yesterday, we know that people celebrated love. I would not say that it is just for lovers, but for everyone. Once we love our family, we love our friends, we love our significant others, we love our children. We love them all. It was a day to celebrate love yesterday. It was Valentine's Day. And I do hope that the significance of the day that we did get an opportunity to carry it. Remember, we love every day. On that day, it is just a day that we signify, that we observe that day of love. And we try to show just a little extra how we feel. So I do hope that people would have enjoyed that day, whether it be with you and a significant other or by yourself. Remember, love starts with you. If you don't have love, you cannot share love. If you don't have something, you cannot share it. So I do hope that for the people who celebrated, that it was a day, quite a significant one for you. So we will be going on straight into the weather as we normally do, help you plan your day, and we go over to the Met Office where we get this morning's weather forecast. Good morning. Thank you so much, Vondi, and that's one of our new forecasters done at the Met Office. So Vondi, welcome, and thank you so much for today's forecast. Remember, we are into the dry season, but the reminder of conservation, always very critical around this time, as we do know that from time to time, we may have disruptions in our water supply, and WASA always encourage, as part of disaster management, as part of always being prepared, it is important that you should always have a backup, always have some water stored away. If you don't have a tank, there are other ways that you can store water and do so safely without creating breeding sites for mosquitoes and other dangerous animals. So let's ensure that we do it well, we do it safe, and we ensure that we are always prepared for whatever do come our way. So we are still living within the pandemic. I don't want us to stray from it. Let's not think that it's all over. We're still living with it. Masks, we still have to wear them, adhere to the protocols. We still sanitize. We still be cautious. We still be very, very cautious. And that's important. That's very, very important for us to note, that we are still living within the pandemic. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back on, we will have our first discussion for the morning.
Support you at every stage of your life. for business.
For your education.
For your financial freedom.
For that new ride.
Upgrade your life with the Communal. Contact us today.
Get your electricity bill to be so low?
For one, we size our transformers just for what we need, and we unplug transformers, chargers, and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LED. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in.
How do you know if it is working?
We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased.
Renlec, energizing our Grenada.
She was my life, caring for me, loving me from a baby. COVID came and she never left the house. She felt safe there. Just turned 80. She kept saying, "Son, go take the vaccine so you could come and see me. I miss you." And never did. Because I'm young and I'm strong, and people on Facebook say the vaccine don't really protect you. I went to see her because I thought I was fine. I had no symptoms. She was so happy to see me. I had COVID and I did not even know. Being vaccinated would have helped. I just know it. I just know it. I'm so sorry, Granny. I'm so sorry.
This message is brought to you by the Grenada COVID Crisis Virginia. Rise and shine.
Welcome back. Just in case you are just joining us, good morning and welcome to you. Thank you so much. Now we get to go into our first conversation for the morning. Today we start off the morning speaking football. And today we're talking with the coach for the women's team, our national women's team, who's out there in the Dominican Republic. World Cup qualifiers, their World Cup qualifiers campaign have begun and they are already off the island. Mr. Jake Rennie, no stranger to football. Good morning, Jake, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, good morning. I'm happy to be here, sir.
It is a pleasure speaking with you. One of our very talented young coaches and also contributor to football, always around. We know that you are tied to, your base is that of Paradise. We have been looking at you for years. I mean, you know, Victoria, Hurricane, Paradise, always the contenders. So it's always a pleasure speaking to you, Jake. But outside of that, you went along and you furthered your studies in the sport, and you've given us a lot more than just a player. You've given us technical knowledge, administration, and it's so much that we are grateful for this, that today you are out there with our girls or women in the Dominican Republic as we prepare for our first World Cup qualifier tomorrow. Speak to us about just the atmosphere among the women. What is it like? How have they settled down since they left on Sunday as we prepare for tomorrow's game?
Well, pleasant good morning again. Well, in terms of settling down, I think they just started to really settle down because we had a delayed flight on Sunday, so we had gotten in DR around 1 o'clock. So we have gotten into the hotel, so which was a little bit hectic. The girls had to be up on the airport all night. Then we had to travel back to the hotel, and they had to eat late. The next day we had to cancel our first morning session, but they've been getting there. Last night yesterday we had our first session. It was good. I can see that they are adapting to the environment, which is good. We had a little talent show last night, to motivate them. I think it went down well. So they're getting there. I think they're more happy. The first time we came, they was complaining about the food and stuff, but they're not doing that now. So I guess they all settled.
Yes, well, we're getting there. We know it is a new country, new environment, new culture, and it will take them some time to settle down. But all we need is to ensure that by tomorrow they are there so that they can give us their best. What are your expectations going into tomorrow's game? I know you have been looking at them while they were in camp. You have also been following them before because you are always involved in football. What are your expectations, Jake, with the talent that you see?
But I think we have a very talented team. We have some very good players. The only thing is that we start preparation a little late, which was one of our challenge. We have one or two players who are not on the team presently due to the COVID. We also have one who is injured, but nevertheless, I see a great improvement with this group of girls. They want to play despite of all what happened. I think they want to play. I think we're going to give a good show tomorrow. I think we're going to compete because we're not going to let Dominica walk over us like that. I say we are Grenadians. So I have high expectation despite of what we going through. I believe in this group of girls, and I think we can give a good show tomorrow.
We have a nice mix of players. We have the young ones, we have some of our seasoned players, and we also have some of our overseas-based players. I realize that is a similar mix that was used earlier on, late last year, with the senior men's team, the under-20 team, when they went out to that competition, and they did well. They only lost one game. I'm thinking that we're hoping that method would work again for us.
Well, yeah, that's one of the most important things is that they've been playing together for a while now, and they understand each other. I think the tactics and what we want to do, I think they started get it. Practice games, I think was a challenge also in terms of playing, getting them together. But the gelling of the team is okay. I watched them train yesterday and it was good. So it's all about tomorrow, how they able to execute what we want on the field of play. But it's a good mixture with, as I said, with young players. We have a few U17 players. We have overseas players like Ranela Frank, Malia. We have these kind of players coming in to give their best into the team, and we have experienced players like Judy. I know he wouldn't able to play tomorrow, but we have experienced players like Naya, Judy, Teja. I think we're gonna give a good show tomorrow. And as I said, the players are motivated, and the love they have given the staff and management team, I think is great.
Good. I think we are all looking forward to tomorrow's start because after this game tomorrow, we are preparing for what we may consider the biggest game, one of the biggest games in our campaign to the World Cup, because we face the Reggae Girls next and right at home. What are you looking? I know it's going to be a model game, at least for you, because you would then have to modify the approach moving into that game under 20-something. Speak to us about tomorrow's, Jake. I know it's going to be keen. You'll be looking closely what you may not have seen during practice session. You know that the best of anyone comes out on the day of competition, not necessarily preparation. So tomorrow is going to be a very important game for you.
Yeah, of course. We don't want to think too much about the Jamaican game right now. We just want to focus on our game tomorrow, which is most important. And then after we think about the Jamaica game, because it's going to be a different game. We're going to have some of our key players coming back on the team. So let me just focus on Dominica game for tomorrow for now.
After this, we have a little break, and then we move to April, I believe, is when we get on to our next round of competitions to this World Cup Championship. Jake, it is going to be, it would not be a sprint, it's going to be a marathon for the team. I know it will be quite a challenge to keep them going, but I don't think it will be that much of a challenge because we have had a downtime with every sport, and everybody's looking forward to playing. After these 2 games, you would now need to keep the momentum going. So it means, therefore, that by April, we cannot say that we may not have enough time to prepare, because we will be preparing from now up until that time as the qualifiers continue. What is your plan? You spoke a while ago of having a talent. You did a talent show last evening, areas to boost them. We know that sports offers a lot more to players, especially now in this time when it is easy to think negative and move the next way. It gives you a lot more. You will now be challenged with a huge task to keep them motivated as we move on to the next round, which comes in April. What are your plans in doing so? Because I know as a coach, you not just a coach, but you're almost like a parent.
I always have a plan. I always look out for young footballers, but our plan is not only just the game in April. We want to continue with this group of girls for a long period of time. So for me, this is part of development. This is the first phase. Just happen to be that our first phase have to be close to a tournament. So it is what it is. So we're going to continue coaching these girls. We're going to continue teaching them, giving them the knowledge of the game. As I said, it's a process. It may not happen now, but after a period of time, we're going to see a mass development in these girls. When we just started our training session, certain things I see they're doing, they're not doing it now. So it's like they're learning, they are developing fast. And not only we try to motivate them by talent show. Also, we are trying to mold this group of girls by having development program. I know the manager, she is doing a great job. Our staff is an experienced staff, It's a mixture of male and female, young and old. So they kind of get in that kind of teaching. What we teach them about life, we teach them about moving forward in life also. Education, looking for a scholarship, looking forward to be somebody in life. So it's not only about football, it's all about teaching them to be a young woman as well, which is good. And as I said, I'm happy with the staff that we have because they're all giving the input and they're all helping to develop these young ladies.
Excellent, Jake. Excellent. I know you have to run off on us because it is the start. I think you have your first training day today. So you have, there's a lot that you have to do this morning in preparation for tomorrow's game. Jake, we are very grateful for you making the time to join us this morning. Thank you again. And we wish you and the team the very best. Any parting words from you before you run off?
Well, just want all Grenadians, to come out, support the girls, motivate them, and we're going to compete. Just support these young ladies, and just we are going into lion mode, right? 473 to the world.
Yeah, yes, we are. Full support, full 100, as we say. We continue to put behind our team. We wish them the best, and we know they will be giving their best tomorrow. Thank you again, Jake. You and the team continue to be safe out there and we know that you will be great ambassadors, as per usual, for this beautiful land of ours. Take care, Jake, and be safe, you and the team.
Thank you. One love.
You're most welcome. Then we had Jake Rennie, coach of the women's team. They are out there in the Dominican Republic, where they are preparing to face Dominica tomorrow in the World Cup qualifiers, the first of the World Cup qualifiers as the women start their campaign to the World Cup. After this game, they will be facing Jamaica next here in Grenada. More information will be shared as to whether or not there will be spectators at the stadium. That I'm sure the GFA will be sharing with us as we get closer to the game. And then they have another 2 qualifiers in April. So our team, our sports ambassadors are up there representing us well. We wish them the best. We know that we are still living within the pandemic, so we wish them the very best. We wish them the very best safe one, and of course, all success. We are all behind them, rooting for them as they go there and represent us well. So football, our team, we are representing out there. So what we're going to do now, it's just about 8 o'clock. Yes, it is 8 o'clock on the dot. So to most people, your day starts now. We wish you a productive day. Please remember, be positive. Try to help someone today. Go the extra mile. Do something that it's not in your job description, but you're just trying to help, and just be an excellent brand ambassador for the company in which you work. Remember, the growth of the company would ultimately result in you benefiting. So don't think of it as it's not my work. Everything is. It is your responsibility. So do something nice today, and remember, stay positive. We have every reason nowadays to look the other way, but do the right thing. Stay positive, encourage someone, do something nice for someone today, because we never know what others are going through. We might assume, we might think we do, until we really hear the story. Or we may never hear the story, or we hear the tragedy and then we said, oh my God, I should have helped. Never should have. Do it. Don't procrastinate. Do it. We're going to take a break now. When we come back, we get on into our second conversation.
We support you at every stage of your life.
For business,
For your education.
for your financial freedom.
For that new ride.
Upgrade your life with the communal. Contact us today.
How did you get your electricity bill to be so low?
For one, we size our transformers just for what we need, and we unplug transformers, chargers, and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LED. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in.
How do you know if it is working?
We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased.
RIEING, energizing our Grenada.
Rise and shine.
Welcome back. So our second guest is not quite ready yet for us, but will soon come on. is having a bit of a delay. This morning we get to speak to the elections officer, the representative from the electorate office, Mr. Ferdinand Philip. He will be speaking to us about what's happening with, he is our voter and civic registration officer, sorry about that, the parliamentary elections office. So he will be speaking to about the importance of renewing that, our cards. Remember, it is one of our acceptable IDs, so it does have more than one purpose. Your voter ID card, it's important that we get them renewed. But he's not on yet with us, so what we will do is taking some more of that very positive song that we started off with this morning by shared by our very own Tamara St. Bernard. It is, I think it might just be a message that somebody needs to hear this morning as we wait on Mr. Philip. I think it is a very good filler for us today.
Darkness, he's clothed in black, bringing trouble his way. He's trying to find me with thoughts as sharp as razors. He's called depression, I want him to go away. Please let me be free. No negative thoughts, no evil thinking may come my way. I am the one who's going to win the battle. I'll put my love for soldiers and Jah would lead the way. I'm gonna win the battle. He's gonna pay the price. With Jah as my almighty savior, I'm gonna sacrifice. Nothing bad can harm me. Nothing bad can win. Suicide is depression. Why suffer in silence? Speak out. Who can it be? Yeah, waiting until I'm crying. Sadness, you see, he's taking control of my mind. He's saying cut, he's saying kill. I can't stay still. Come on to me, Jah Jah. Come in and bless my life. Leave me alone as I walk home. No negative thoughts, no evil thinking may come my way. I am the one who's going to win the battle. I'll put my love for soldiers and Jah will lead the way. Thoughts, no evil thinking may come my way. I am the one who's going to win the battle. I'll put my love for soldiers and Jah will lead the way. Please let me be free. No negative thoughts, no evil thinking may come my way.
No negative thoughts, no evil thinking is going to come your way. You are the one, I am the one that's going to win the battle. Soldiers in Jah will lead the way. Please, let's try to be positive today. As I said, we may have every reason to turn and look the other way, but look for the reason. That may not seem to be the easiest, but accept it. Accept it. Accept the positive path. Please, it is better than the negative one. It will be a lot more encouraging than what may appear to be everything that's going wrong. Something, there must be a reason why you can find to keep going, keep moving forward, keep being positive despite what may happen. So we do have our guest on now, Mr. Ferdinand Philip. Good morning, Mr. Philip, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning to you. Good morning to all of the viewership. It is a pleasure to be on your program to share vital information as it pertains to electoral matters.
Yes, it is a pleasure having you on, Mr. Philip. It is that time. We know that we are hearing lots of talk, and of course your office now as open year round, but we know around this time it does get busy. Whenever there seems to be a thought that election will be coming, everybody wants to know what's happening. Vote, am my name on the list? Where can I find the list? What do I need to do? Where am I registered? The questions. But I know this morning we want to speak about, we want to focus our discussion on the renewal of those voter ID cards. We know that they expired, most of them expired, was in 2020, I believe. Most of them expired.
January 2020, all of them expired.
All of them expired January 2020, and now it's important that we renew it. So let us speak about that renewal process.
Yes, again, good morning. The voter's ID was issued. As we all are aware, we came in with a new voter registration system in January of 2012. Basically, we had what you call a zero start. So even though persons were registered before that, before January 2012, and some of you would remember having, I believe it was a pink card and followed by a blue card, laminated card. But at that period of time in January, all those cards became redundant, null and void. And so persons had to use it. I want to use the word re-register, because some persons were of the opinion that they were registered already. But basically, the slate was wiped clean. And so as of January 2012, all persons who were qualified and eligible to vote had to get registered. Now, one of the unique features of the new voter registration system that came into being was the fingerprinting. Now, it was persons, when they went to get registered, had to be fingerprinted. And it was a two-part process. When they initially went and did the application, they had to fingerprint. They had to give a digital signature. An electronic photograph was taken. Their documents were scanned into a system. And all of this is kept in a computerized voter registration system. It's a single computerized database where all of that information is kept. So these things were different to what obtained before. Now, we do not, and this is where it becomes a little muddled. Apparently, an expiry date was placed on those cards. So whether somebody went on the 1st of January, 2020, or maybe November of 2019, or sometime in January of 2019, their cards would expire at the end of January 2020. So all persons ended up with those expired voter registration cards. So the new process began as of the 3rd of February 2020. And persons, again, just to emphasize, we did not remove any person's name from the list. What happened here is that you had to get the expired card replaced, but your name remained on that registration list. And this is what we keep on emphasizing to persons. It's not that we remove persons, it is just that the card that you use became expired. And so again, some persons kept on asking, why do I have to? Because in getting the card replaced, you had to bring in your documents again, whether it was your valid passport or your official birth certificate, or in the case, let's say somebody is married and they wanted to carry the husband's surname, the marriage certificate, as the case may be, for the Commonwealth citizen, Form M with the declaration and these things. So what you did previously in having to bring in to initiate the process by bringing in your documents, when you were replacing, and it's an ongoing process, you had to continue to do that, to bring in your documents. So that is an ongoing process, and that is the replacement of the expired voter ID card. At the same time, we are also registering new persons. So persons who have attained the age 18, persons who are resident in a particular constituency, persons who are duly qualified, let's say a Commonwealth citizen who has lived in Grenada for 12 months unbroken immediately prior to them going and get their ID replaced. These persons are qualified. They, of course, are also being facilitated, but they are new registrants. So they would bring in their documents. And of course, whether it is a replacement or a first timer, you are not charged. However, if you have, in the case of the replacement, if you have lost your replaced ID and you need to get it replaced, then you need to go to the revenue office, pay your $20 replacement fee, and come along with your documents with that receipt. I hope that is made clear enough.
Okay. Well, that sounds clear enough. That sounds very, very clear enough. How long does the process take? Because I know a lot of people, one of the things that I recognize, a lot of people have been making requests to go and get their voter ID cards renewed. But sometimes the length of time that is requested, it's kind of ridiculous. And I know the process would not necessarily be that long. But speak to us about the length of time that it takes to conduct that renewal process.
Well, as we address that, I am aware that, especially in the first year in 2020, when we started the replacement process, some persons waited as much as 4 months to get their cards, 3-4 months, because we had a heavy volume of traffic. So many persons, for various reasons, rushed to get their cards, their expired cards replaced. And of course, we were not in an election year, but the card also has a multiplicity of other functions. Persons need it especially for documentation. Persons who travel, they need the comfort of that document as they go away and so forth. So there was a rush to get the card replaced. And because we had so much traffic, persons engaged in the office to have their cards replaced, in addition to the new registrations, it did elongate the period of time between applying for the card and receiving that card. However, I can say at the moment, the process is taking approximately 2 weeks, except in the case where some further clarification or further documentation may be required from the person who did the application. Because it's not that you apply for the card and then you just come back. When you apply for that card at the district office or at the constituency office, the assistant registration officer receives your application, but then there's a verification process. It begins with, or it continues, I should say, with the registration officer for the constituency, who then looks at your application to ensure that that application is on par, ensure that all of your required documentation is there and so forth, all of the required information is received. Now, once that person is satisfied, that's the first of the verification process. Then it is passed on to the supervisor of elections or the assistant supervisor of election, who also does a vetting of that registration. So at any juncture, at any one of those points, the documents, the application is looked at before it is passed on for actual printing. Or if there's something needing to be addressed, then it will be sent back to the office where it needs to be addressed at that level. And so there could be a delay at any given time. Even when the card is printed, there's a quality assurance process where the printed card is looked at to ensure that the photograph that was taken is of acceptable quality, to ensure that there is no misprint or any such thing on that document. So at any juncture, you could have that card, the process being delayed. However, as I said, usually the process is about 2 weeks. And as I am on that, I am appealing to persons. We tend to be a last-minute people. I'm not too sure about what happens in some of the larger islands. Sometimes you see people walking so busy. But according to Paul Kings Douglas, we are laid-back natives. We tend to be like that. We're not busy. Or at time, one of the Calypsonians in Trinidad sang, anytime is Trinidad time. And I guess it may obtain in Grenada also. But I am saying that to appeal to us. I really do not want to see 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the night people stand up in lines, face long as what, waiting to get their ID replaced or to get their registration process enacted for that voter identification card. Please,
I think that is a reminder for me too. I looked as you're speaking, I pulled out mine and I realized, okay, I need to go get my I need to start my renewal process because I need to get my car together. So that one applied to me. So I got the message, Mr. Philip, and I will be working towards that. As we speak about the list, claims, we always hear that back and forth whenever that electoral cycle is about coming around. People speaking about who, I'm not seeing my name on the list, or that person's name is there and that person's name should not be there, and who is voting in that constituency. The process to file in claims on the voters list, objections to the consolidated list. Let's speak to this. How is it done? What's the right way to do it? And what can likely be the outcome? How is that process? How does it happen?
Thank you very much. Now, in terms of that process, that whole issue of claims and objections. Now, again, I must initiate by speaking of just prior to the last general elections, the office received quite a bit of lashing from the general public, especially in the constituencies of St. George Northwest, St. George Northeast. I believe also interacting with St. George Southeast and to a lesser extent in St. David, because Mardi Gras transcends both St. David and St. George Southeast. Now, in terms of claims and objection, a claim basically is made by the registered individual to some, usually an omission pertaining to himself or herself. An objection, however, is made by the individual who is registered in a particular constituency against someone else's inclusion on that list. So the objection is raised by somebody registered in the constituency against another person registered in the constituency, claiming that that person does not live there. They do not have a right to be registered there. So that's the objection. Whereas a claim, maybe they put your name, they spelled your name wrongly, maybe they put you in the wrong polling division, maybe they gave you the wrong occupation, something like that. So you could make those claims. What is the one that really brings into focus? Claims are straightforward. Objections tend to cause some stress. And so what happened, and if I can just lay some quick groundwork, just prior to the last general elections, the systems, because of my position, because I have to interface with the general public, and by the way, let me say that I am not the supervisor of elections. The supervisor of elections is Mr. Elvis Morin. He is a legislated, his position is legislated. I am just the public relations officer. But back to on track. The systems administrator brought it to my attention that in going through that list, he had discovered quite a number of persons who were registered in the wrong constituency, particularly in the St. George Northeast area. He also said to me that he would communicate with the relevant parties, that information, because they do a lot of groundwork. But about approximately 2 weeks after that, the information hit the airways, the script went out of control, and the office began to receive a lot of tongue lashing because we were being accused of actually padding votes, placing persons in particular places to facilitate or to favor one party as opposed to the other. And really that was not the case. The information really came, it was discovered by the systems administrator. And then 2 weeks later, I began to hear it out there and it really blew up. Now, what we attempted to do, because the whole issue of objections have not really been a hot topic among us before, we had to guide persons along as to what is expected. And it was a learning process for us also, because before that, persons really were not bringing in objections. The list is posted at the various places. Persons go through the list, or maybe they don't, and that was that. But just prior to the last general elections, we got 100 and something objections in the St. George Northeast area. We got quite a few in St. George Southeast. We got a few also in St. George Northwest. And so we had to go through that process of the objections being dealt with. And what we recognized at that point in time, the time at which those persons raised the objections, it was not sufficient based on the legislation to have those objections sufficiently ventilated and one or the other, either the persons who objected to had the objection denied and the persons remain on the list, or the objection was upheld and the person was removed from the list. There was not enough time to do that. So I am saying here before I continue, we are appealing to persons every quarter, either a consolidated list or a addendum is posted, and we are appealing to persons to do your due diligence. The legislation is not only for the supervisor of elections, it is for you, the general public. And if you see something, a discrepancy, something that seems out of place, by all means, engage the office. Take us by the scruff of the neck, pull up our socks, so to speak, because the legislation gives teeth to you for that. And there are certain instances where if we do not act upon it, we can end up at Richmond Hill. Persons could lose their rights to vote and all these different things. But claims and objections. When an objection, now we post the list, and I believe just around the 13th of last month, the list was posted. I am subject to correction here, but the list was posted. Persons had a 7-day period to actually go through that list, looking for any, especially for claims pertaining to you or objections. You are registered in that constituency. You are looking to see if anyone is registered there that you feel strongly does not belong. You believe, maybe for sure they are living somewhere else, but you suddenly see their registration popping up in your constituency where you are registered. Then you have a 7-day period to make, and I think I'm incorrect in here now. I believe the end of that correction period would have been the 31st of January. So you had that 7-day period to make your claim or make your objection. You had to do it in writing to the registration officer in the constituency. Now, once he or she received that objection, he has to be in the office. There's a time set on that form, I believe form number 19. The form is there, and it specifies the date and the time and all this information when the registration officer will be there to actually receive those claims and objections. Now, once it is received, the names of the persons that are objected to, these persons must be communicated, and they must be communicated, or communication must be sent to them. They must be given 5 days by registered post. Okay? So in registered mail, within 5 days, they are given sufficient time to be able to respond. The person that is making the objection also receives a communication. The registration officer then sets a date for a hearing. The registration officer keeps a record of all of the persons that are objected to. He also keeps a record of, he sends a copy of those objected persons to the headquarters or to the head office. The information must also be posted in the community, and I believe left for a period of at least 30 days, I believe. Now, in that hearing, where the person who is objected to is called, they must bring evidence that indeed they are registered in that constituency. But the registration officer may not be satisfied with the evidence that was given to object to that person, so they may require further evidence. They are also doing their investigation, and I'm just giving you the idea that there is a process that is involved. Now, at the end of that process, a decision is made. The decision is either going to be that we uphold that objection, and that person is to be removed from that list, and they will be communicated such, and they will be asked to get registered in the appropriate constituency. Or, at the end of the investigation, the registration officer will deny the objection, and it will be communicated to both parties, and the individual will remain on the list. Now, if the individual is removed from the list, then the individual can appeal to so he goes now above the registration officer, and he appeals to the supervisor of elections. The supervisor of election makes a decision either to uphold the decision of the registration officer or to deny that decision. Now, if the objected person is not satisfied with the decision of the supervisor of elections, he can take him to court. So that's the highest level where it can go. And again, the court will decide, and of course, all of the documentary evidence that was used to make that final determination will then be required to be presented by the supervisor of elections at court. And at the end of that determination, at the next printing of the list, the information will be reflected. So whether that person is removed or not, it will be determined. In practical example, I must say, I met a guy who was registered in Mardi Gras St. George Southeast just a few months ago, and he was actually living in Mardi Gras St. David. And when we spoke to him, he said, well, he was coming, so the process was done. He was communicated, it was indicated to him that he was registered in St. George Southeast, whereas he belonged in Mardi Gras, which is St. David. He was told, okay, you will be removed from the list by the supervisor of elections, or that's the Southeast list, and he had to go and register in the St. David list. And speaking to him, he told me, yes, he was told all of that, but he said, he don't bother me with that, and that was the end of it. But I'm just showing you how the finality of that process can go. If you are removed from the list because of an objection, you are then required to go and register in the appropriate place. So I hope in a nutshell, people get an idea of what it entails.
I think we do. I think we do better. Well, for me, I better understand how it happens and what can happen if you are not registered in the right constituency, and also what we need to do to ensure that whenever the bell ring, that we can exercise our constitutional right, ensuring that we are renewed, we are up to date, that our registration cards and so are ready, that whenever the day comes that we can exercise. So Mr. Philip, I don't know, any parting words from you as relates to this process? I wanted to encourage people to go on out there, because I know there's still a significant number of people who still have to get their cards renewed. I'm included on that list. So I think it's important that you remind us of the importance of doing this. And as you said, that we don't try to wait on the last, because we know when the bell rings, it means that we're on the clock then to getting this done. And you would also have a lot to do in preparation of that big day. So it would put a lot of pressure on your team.
Yes, and I would like to say finally and critically, the voter registration card, it is a card that is issued for voting purposes. Now we hear there has been a major debate about whether or not we need the card to vote or not. And some persons, unfortunately, were actually telling persons, don't go and get the card replaced. But I must say, according to section 58 and 2 of the legislation, it says a person who is eligible and duly registered to vote shall, and I'm emphasizing the word shall here, shall on election day present their voter identification card. The card is a requirement for voting. And I want that to be indelibly stuck in our brains. The card is a requirement. And so we trust that persons will go out there. The card is printed primarily for voting. And if it was not so required, then we didn't have to expend taxpayers' money to print it. But on election day, they shall present it. So I appeal to persons on behalf of the supervisor, please go out there and have your card replaced or do your registration process. And finally, for persons who are transferring, because of course, especially in the St. George South area, we are seeing, and this has been from time immemorial, a shift of persons from the rural communities, especially to the more affluent or urbanized areas. And this is happening especially in the St. George South area, Grand Anse in particular. Now, once persons are doing transfers, according to the Act number 13 of 2018, verification becomes critical, vital, very important. And so in terms of verification, what persons, especially the transfers, will notice when you are coming to do your registration or your replacement of the card, you will be asked to bring in a supporting document. It might be the property ownership, the document saying that you have owned property and you are living in that place where you have transferred. Maybe you are renting. You need to bring maybe the lease agreement, or maybe the receipt that when you pay for your monthly rental or whatever, or maybe a utility bill. One of these documents that you need to produce as evidence that you have transferred and are actually living in that area. What about if persons are dependents and so they do not have any documentation in their name? Then a declaration from the person who has the documents, a declaration from that person along with the supporting copy of document will suffice in this case, or based on the circumstance of the matter, any other document that the registration officer may, in discussion with the applicant, may require at that time. We want persons to be aware of that. And I know this time is not enough to actually roll out all that we need. So I know Ms. Crosby is going to give us further occasion whereby we can lay the groundwork and have our population well informed as to what is expected of them before the bell rings.
Yes, you definitely will have another opportunity, because I realize we just went into a whole other area there as it relates to transfers. So the next time we need to do that, moving from one constituency to the other and what is required. I think that will be another important thing for us to have that discussion on. And then the next part is, I'm hoping that most people do know where to find the voter registration list for the various constituencies. The police stations have them, government buildings, you can find them there. I know that there's several places where we can find them. But you know, when everything starts getting busy and we start going into that mode, we become frantic and we don't remember. So the next time we speak, we will have an opportunity to remind people of where they can find the list. So you still have time to check the list, ensure that your name is there, the right constituency, spelled properly, everything is correct, so that when the bell do ring, that you can answer the call. You can answer the call.
And what I would do with your permission, we would, because the list is available online, peogrenada.org, and you can search the list there. Again, peogrenada.org. In addition to the list, there's so much other information. But what I probably can do, we can do a physical demonstration while we're on the program, so we can search the list. Let's see how we can play around with it and all of the different things that can be accessed via the online platform, because not everybody goes to the physical sites where they are, but in the comfort of your home on your device, you can do so. So of course, with your permission, we are going to do that, a practical demonstration.
No problem. That would be a welcomed inclusion. That would be a welcomed inclusion. So, Mr. Philip, thank you so much again. We are kind of out of time, but what we will do is we will schedule for another program when we have an opportunity to get back into this very important information. I'm telling you now, so as early as next week, you can prepare yourself. Tanya will be reaching out to you so that we can continue this discussion. It is very important. It is as important, as the election, because calling the election and people are not prepared to vote, it takes away that constitutional right from an individual. So we have to ensure that no one is disenfranchised because of lack of information, but you are empowered and you know what you need to do so that you can get it done. So, Mr. Philip, thank you so much again, and a pleasant day to you and your team. Thanks again. Much welcomed information, important information, and I'm happy that you did have a chance to join us this morning.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. We're speaking there with Mr. Ferdinand Philip. He's the Civic and Registration Officer at the Parliamentary Elections Office, speaking to us there about that voters list, getting that renewal process on. We've been hearing lots of talk about elections coming, possibility of elections coming soon. It is constitutionally due next year, 2023, but we know that the constitutionally due has nothing to do when it's called. So people are encouraged to get registered, renew your cards, ensure that you know what constituency that you're registered in, that if there's any objection and if you have to be re-registered, that all of this happens even before the bell rings. And we don't want to do everything on the last. All cards expired on the 31st of January since 2020. I am guilty. I have to get my card renewed. But it's important. It is important that we allow the process, give ourselves time to go and renew our electoral cards, our election cards, our registration cards, and be sure that we know where we're voting and that everything is fine. Everything is fine with the process. If we have to make any changes, that we can use the time now to do so that when the bell do ring, that we can exercise our rights, yeah? That we can do what we need to do. So again, he will be back on the program when we get to delve into some of the other areas of concern, re-elections, the registration, electors being registered, and that very, very important process. So we invite you to join us again Mr. Philip will be back on with us when we get to share. And as he said, he will be doing a live demonstration as to how we can search, because there is an online platform for you to check to see whether or not your name is on the registration list, on the voters list, and ensuring that it's in the right place. So he will be giving us that demonstration. So it's going to be another interesting conversation when we do speak to Mr. Philip again. So that's where we conclude. That's where we conclude this morning. It's 8:39. Thank you to all our viewers, diaspora, here locally on Magic FM, listening. Thank you so much for joining us again for another program today. The 15th day of February, the team, Tanya, Chad. Another pleasure, the extended MTV team. Thank you again. And our sponsors, our corporate entities who continue to support this initiative. We say thank you so much. Thank you so much for your corporate support. We do appreciate as you make this a reality, and we could not have done it without you. To everyone, a pleasant day. Please remain safe, remain positive. I cannot stop speaking about the positive part. Remain positive. Find a reason each day to keep going. Don't allow the dark clouds to take over. Always sunshine, always sunshine. Look for that one silver line in the midst of all the dark clouds, and let it be that encouraging sign or symbol for you each day that you keep going. Find it. Don't give up. Don't give up. There's always a way. There's always a way. Ask for it. We often hear ask, shall receive, seek, shall find, knock. That door will open. Ask for what you want. Have a good day, everyone. I am your host, Ocelyn Crosby. We'll be back here with you. All things remaining the same on Thursday of this week, Thursday, God's will. When we do this all over again, I encourage you to be safe, be positive, and have a fantastic day.